Today we are going to continue with our connective tissue by talking about three specialized connective tissues. Bone, blood, and fat are all types of connective tissue which don't seem to fit the mold of the other connective tissues we discussed in the last lab, but rest assured they still contain all the ingredients that make for a connective tissue. They each contain cells and matrix. Remember that matrix is defined as fibers and ground substance, which all three of these tissues actually have. Adipose tissue is a specialized, loose connective tissue that contains large numbers of adipocytes. Adipocytes are the cells of adipose tissue. The cells appear empty because the lipids are extracted during tissue preparation. This tissue also contains small amounts of collagen fibers. The nucleus of adipocytes is usually pressed against the plasma membrane of the cell. We are going to look at a tissue specimen taken from the mesenteries. We talked briefly about the mesenteries in the last lab. But to review, the mesentery is the part of the peritoneal cavity that holds the organs of the abdomen. Many organs are suspended within the peritoneal cavity by mesenteries, which is primarily composed of areolar connective tissue. However, also scattered within the mesentery are adipose tissue, blood vessels, nerves, and lymph nodes. Here is a closer look at the adipocytes, also known as fat cells or fat droplets. Highlighted in green is one adipocyte, and here is its nuclei pressed up against the plasma membrane. The pink stained fibers are the collagen fibers, and a nerve is also present at the top of the screen. The scanning electron microscope gives us a 3D representation of adipose tissue. The cluster of adipocytes resembles a bunch of grapes. The cells are supported by a delicate network of reticular fibers, which are highlighted in purple. Next is going to be blood connective tissue. The cells of this tissue are primarily red blood cells, which are given the name erythrocytes. They appear as pale pink discs with light centers and no nuclei. Erythrocytes transport oxygen to cells and remove carbon dioxide. This tissue also has white blood cells, otherwise known as leukocytes. There is a great variety of leukocytes present in blood tissue. They are larger than erythrocytes and have variously shaped nuclei according to their type. Platelets are also present as very small fragments with no nuclei. Blood connective tissue is studied by taking a sample called a blood smear. Blood smears are made by placing a drop of blood on one end of a slide and using a spreader slide to disperse the blood from left to right. When zoomed in, you can really see the individual cells. The red blood cells are everywhere. The white blood cells stick out with their purple stained nuclei. The pink small dots are platelets. Only a few of them have been highlighted here. At this point you might be wondering, where are the fibers? Good question. The platelets make the fibers whenever a blood clot is needed to stop bleeding from a wound. Under the scanning electron microscope we can actually see red blood cells caught in a blood clot. Red blood cells are biconcave discs, meaning they are concave on both sides and contain no nucleus. The last tissue for this lab is going to be compact bone tissue. It also goes by the name osseous tissue. It consists of a calcified matrix arranged in concentric lamellae around central canals. The central canal is the hole in the middle where blood vessels would be located inside a live bone. The concentric lamellae are like layers of an onion. Together, the lamellae and the central canal are called an osteon. The little dark slits are called lacunae. Lacunae is where you will find mature bone cells called osteocytes. The lacunae are connected via little slits called canaliculi. Here is a pretty good example of bone tissue. We can see multiple osteons, which are the cylindrical structures. They are considered the structural units of compact bone. They are arranged parallel to the lines of stress in a bone. Here we can see the osteon better. They kind of look like tree stumps. The central canal at the center of the osteon is where blood vessels would be located in live bone. Here is an image of an osteon with its central canal under a scanning electron microscope.